Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Hi, Nikki.
Hang on a minute.
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. Hold on a minute. This is. I probably should wear my glasses. Hold on a minute. There's so many. Hang on.
Gule.
Gule. I thought so
Gule.
because I have to ask you that. Otherwise, I be in trouble if I don't pronounce it properly. Can you see me at all?
Yes, I can. I can see you very well. Yes, very clear.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes.
Let me join this person right here. Hold on a minute. This is so cool. Is this in recording already?
Yes, it is.
Wow. Okay. I probably should wear my glasses. There you go. All right. Let me just have the Windows to Windows 10 now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to just kind of, what do you call this? Okay, here's the invite. I'm trying to find the invite. Copy invite link. Meeting passcode. Okay, 828. Hold on a minute, that's Jery. 828.
No problem. No problem. I'm in your hands. I'm in your hands. No problem.
Okay. Yeah, we try to get you here for the longest time, right?
Yes,
and I'm so glad. Let me just set it up. I've been here for a while, and I wasn't sure if you're gonna join in because I didn't get any. What do you call this? I didn't get any. Confirmation or anything.
Reply.
Yeah.
RSVP. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I thought I had said yes.
Oh no. I probably you did, but no, I didn't get any. So I was just like, okay, maybe he's not gonna come. But I try to come in here anyway. All right, it's not connected. It's got some humidity right now outside, so it's okay. I mean, it's 10, I think, yesterday, and about 100. We've never seen like triple digit before. But it's very, very.
Yeah, I've seen the fires on TV. It's very scary out there. Eh? Is it the northern part of California?
I'm in Southern California. I'm in the south, so I'm next to I'm in Los Angeles County. I am in I want to say about 20 something miles away from Los Angeles County, but that's just a distance. But in reality, when you have to drive to from here to somewhere to Los Angeles County, it will be like a couple hour drive, depending. So I'm between Los Angeles County, Los Angeles, and also Ventura. So yeah, it's a town called Santa Clarita.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very, very.
I've not been to California. My wife has been there, but I've not been myself. Yes, I lived in New England for a while. In New England and Pennsylvania in the east, so I know the east. And I think I traveled as far as Chicago, and that was it. I then went back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So I've been there before, but that was like a long time ago when I was still in college. Back in the 80s and 90s, back in the 80s actually. And so I travel to different parts of the Midwest and not so much in the East Coast, but the Midwest. But I grew up in Texas. So this kind of weather is okay for me because I'm so immune to heat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my husband, he doesn't really like the heat, but he loves the ocean, and I love the ocean and the mountain,
Okay, yeah, I saw you in one of your pictures that you were down there. Were you scuba diving or just diving into the sea?
Just open water. Yeah, probably, actually, yeah. Nice. It's really nice. It's really nice. Yeah, we travel through Baja quite often, and that's where we both, and he's a rescue diver anyway. Anyhow, so I'm glad to see you here, and I know the other screen is not working. That's okay. I'm glad to see you here, and I truly apologize, and more so, I'm so grateful that you are here. We've been trying to come in, invite you to our session, Actually, it was our second session, and we've had some technical problems, and we've got some time differences. But more so, though, before we start, I just want to get a little bit, a couple things to ask you. Is that this is a COVID impact sustainability. What we want to do is to explore more of your ideas and views and insights and how it is impacting in your region, particularly in your region, in South Africa, right? That's where you are right now. And we're intrigued by, by a lot of professionals and, experts in industry. You're in the education field. So I am, with that kind of, with the region that you're in, I mean, we've got Indonesia also, my country. We want to visit there too. But we went to India, and then we talked a little bit about leadership and education as well. So this morning, or this afternoon, what time is it over there, by the way?
It's actually just, it's 5:15 in the afternoon.
So you're in the same day with me?
Yes, we're now in the same day. Yes, yeah. You are in the morning. I'm in the afternoon.
Right. Yeah, just like
I think let's keep it morning.
Yeah, let's keep it morning because it sounds way better. It's like they're early morning. Yeah. Yeah. So we want to that was part of the reason, one of the main reasons why I wanted to organize and host this. And I run my own nonprofit. It's called I Dare. And it's grassroots mission. Its grassroots mission is to educate, mobilizing resources, for natural or man-made disasters. And I think, and we talk a lot about sustainability within our organization. That is part of the DNA. We'll be educating people how to stay prepared, and then how to living a sustainable life and things like that. So this topic, when COVID came around, and it's like, this is a very timely, and we want to fit into our mission within that and talk about it. But more so, we want to go around the world to talk to the people directly, rather than listening to news and collecting the data directly from the people themselves. So I was the one who basically selected the speakers, the panelists myself, because I try to look at their backgrounds. I like I try to look at also their expertise and everything, such as yourself. So I figured that maybe you could bring, share your exchange ideas and views from your region to to the rest of the world. And as far as sharing this information, it would be, I'm sharing it in YouTube, and a lot of people suggested me that, because I have the quantity of the following, and then they said, put it on your YouTube rather than the I Dare. I plan to do both, actually, because it just makes sense, right? And also, I'd like to get the piece of the conversation also on the podcast format. So there's going to be a couple of platforms. One is the YouTube video, and then the second would be the audio, so people can, listen. So I think that's a well-rounded platform that we can share to the rest of the world. What do you think?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great. I'm grateful that you chose, out of the 7 billion, 8 billion people who chose me to interact with me today. I'm honored and I'm grateful, Nicky. Thank you so much. I'm willingly wanting to share. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, I really appreciate you coming too. But I want to see if I'm actually. I know. I'm so sorry. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and start with your with the introduction a little bit, and I have already prepared about 3 or 4 questions, if that's okay, and then I'll go ahead and screen share it with you, and then you can be able
to problem.
Yeah, to answer that. Would that be okay with you?
That would be great. That's fine. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
All right, so we can start, if you're okay. And I'll go ahead and share the question to you on the screen share. All right, sustainability is the ability to exist constantly I think we want to achieve that, right? To exist on longevity, I mean, long terms, right? We recognize right now the entire world from all aspects are facing just everything, facing emotional, financial, and operational from this COVID. It's more than half a year. 2020 has already passed. Now, my personal 3 cents on this is that education, awareness is the foremost aspect in this whole spectrum of chaos. Many information flying around the internet, and I think my 3 cents is like, do your research. Now, one of the reasons why we, or I personally, would like to bring industry experts, leaders around the world to share and exchange their ideas and views in how COVID has impacted sustainability is this. All right, this morning I'm incredibly honored to have a special guest all the way from South Africa with Dr. Jery Gule, a Harvard University graduate. He is a business executive with academic background and vast experience in human resources management and development, and he is the CEO of Institute of People Management. Good morning, welcome, and thank you so much for joining in our roundtable forum discussion.
Thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much. Good morning to you too. I'm glad to be here.
Right. I want to touch on a couple questions for you, and mainly this is, I know there's a lot of things going on around the world, and particularly in your region in South Africa. I want to screen share so we can do this together. Let me see if I can screen share this. Right, yes. Hold on a minute. Okay. How is everything over there? As far as like, how's the kids going back to school already, or?
Yes, no, schools have actually have been opened, and of course, as you rightly point out, the time that we are in. The period we're in is really unprecedented in terms of the impact that it has had on communities and in our country, South Africa, and in the region, I mean, the whole, if not the whole continent. So schools are open, kids are going back to school. Of course, it started off with the senior grade and the youngest grade. Those were the first ones that went back, and now all of them have trickled back to school, yes.
So the whole grades are back to school right now. How about the colleges, universities in that level? Are they all back?
The universities, what was decided by the government was that students who were doing their research could go back. Other students, the emphasis has been an attempt to try and do online learning for most of the students. Right. But students, because what you want to do is to make sure that you maintain your social distancing or physical distancing, and you make sure that you have the resources to support the students in terms of PPE or personal protective clothing or equipment. So for both the students and the lecturers or the professors at the university. So there's been a very careful management of that situation. You have to look at your resources. Can you afford to bring everybody together? And it was very clear that it wasn't possible to do that. And until, of course, there is good control over the virus in terms of infection.
Right. So basically, people are coping with that, and it's not a mandatory, is it? I mean, is schools, districts, and the university? I mean, it's optional. It's up to them whether they want to open or not. Or is that being mandated by the government, your government?
It is mandated by the government, but the regulations that the state put were that the universities had to make sure that they can put forward a plan that assures the government that they are able to accommodate everyone who comes back and make sure that everybody who comes back to an institution can be protected from the virus. So those plans then, so you have the stakeholders, so you have the government, the Minister of Education, and the primary or basic education and higher education, which is the minister responsible for all higher education, colleges and so forth. All those sections or tiers of education had to prepare a return plan to reopen their institution. So, and that plan then gets looked at by the powers that be, and if it makes sound sense, then they can go back to the institution. So that was the protocol that was put forward by the state.
Tell me a little bit about what you do and, within the industry, because if you look at the screen right now, that's a question that I'd like to address with you. Some of the ways that people perhaps in your industry, within your region, are making differences in the world, as far as like contributing to the impacting of this COVID. Can you let us know what some of the ways?
So I'm the CEO of an organization that is celebrating 75 years. It's 75th anniversary this year. It's an organization for HR professionals and people managers. So what that organization does, if I may give it an equivalent of what of the US is the Society for Human Resources Management, which is SHRAM in the US. In South Africa, we are the Institute of People Management. So our members, we're membership-based organizations, and our members are HR managers, people managers, or HR professionals. And the whole emphasis there, and particularly when you consider COVID, the impact of COVID, when the economies were shut down, people had to, of course, had to leave their workplaces. But as the virus was contained, and people had the economy had to be reopened, it was precisely these officers or the HR officers or professionals that had to make sure that, one, their workplaces were well prepared for people to return to work. So it speaks specifically to the issue of sustainability, because let's face it, if you are going to sustain organizations, sustain society, you are talking about people. So the first thing to do, and which I think our government did very well, when, of course, they came with a cost, locking down the economy. But you had to make sure that you protect the people. And therefore, HR professionals have been really key in ensuring the sustainability of life, preserving life, key. So I do believe that our members have really made a contribution to make sure that we can sustain lives and livelihoods. So both in leaving the workplace as the shutdown took place, make sure that people understand what does this mean. So we emphasize wellness in our organization. Mm-hmm. And organizations in South Africa have actually run what we call wellness programs in the workplace. You may know, Nikki, that unfortunately when HIV and AIDS hit, we were one of the countries that were hit very hard. Yeah. And organizations, one of the things that to be recognized as a good corporate citizen, companies here emphasize the importance of health, wellness of the employees. Because one of the problems that we have is that, if people are not well, they are not going to perform at their best.
Yeah, I've been advocating that concept, mental fitness and physical fitness all combined together as a human element, as an overall. Yeah. I agree completely with you.
Yeah. So let's just talk about now when the state set up 5 levels to try and deal to combat or at least to flatten the curve. So level 5 was a total shutdown of the economy. Level 4, some reopening, essential services coming back and so forth and so on. We are now on level 2. So a large part of the economy has opened. But obviously borders are closed. International travel is closed. Even local travel, only in level 2 could people move between provinces, in other origins or states, if you may say, in the states, you guys have your state. So here we have provinces, we have 9 provinces. So the idea was you can't have interprovincial travel. Why? Because you want to make sure that you can contain the virus. And once the government was satisfied, listening to the scientists, the medical people, and saying, okay, now it looks like we have contained the virus, so we can start reopening gradually the economy. But not all of it is open even now. I mean, your arts and culture, big festivals cannot take place. So my son is a musician, so he's really feeling the pinch right now. But I think the understanding is we are in this, all of us together. Let's try to sustain lives.
Because we're all interconnected. I mean, I don't know how you see that, because we're all connected, even disasters, including disasters, for God's sake, right? I mean, what happens in I say this all over and over again. What happens in South Africa or South America or Southeast Asia will eventually goes to North and South America, Central America, and the U.S. And now is this virus. I mean, it's incredible from all of the, so many organisms. I mean, we came from organisms, right? Human beings, human living, right? And then there's this one virus that nobody has a blueprint ever. I mean, what is it? I mean, we know what it is to combat it. And then it takes the whole world to figure it out.
Yeah.
It takes the whole world to figure it out. It's incredible.
It's true. It is. It is actually shocking. I mean, when this virus started spreading, I think even though we knew something was happening in Asia, in China, I think because we were not so close, and it looked like it took a lot of countries by surprise. And we're not prepared for this. Again, the solution for the world economy to open, I mean, the world must work together. The world must look at this and say, how do we help one another? It can't be one country, we better than you. In this situation, there is no better than you. We have to have, and it's unfortunate that we have entered the world right now where you don't really see a lot of global cooperation. I think this is one epidemic and pandemic, of course, now, where the world has not really worked together that well in trying to contain this. And it's a problem. Because if we're going to open the economies of the world in which we rely on each other's value, I mean, the value chain, the supply chain are all interconnected. So unless there is a thinking that we're going to close our borders, we're just going to try and exist on our own, which I don't think is progressive. I don't think we can go back to that anymore.
Yeah, I think we're taking away the, I always think is that collaboration, not competition. I mean, it goes so timely right now with that concept, collaboration, not competition. Like you just said earlier, I mean, we cannot just independently by our own. We gotta combat this together. Here's the second question. I'd like to share the screen with you, if I may.
Yes.
Can you see if I can do it? Can you see that?
It's coming up.
I think we've already answered that in a way earlier by you, right? Yeah. These are some of the questions that was collected from the audiences, supposedly, when,
Yeah, but Nicky, I can speak to this question because, no region of the world is the same. So you will find that there are people who are doing very well. Therefore, if you talk about online education, it's easy for them. The internet is there, the bandwidth is there.
Yeah.
They can meet the cost of it. So what we have seen in South Africa is that you actually have almost in one country, we have two societies. You have the super rich or the very rich, and we have the middle, and we have the very, very poor. So in other words, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the infrastructure, they don't have the laptops and the computers that the other people might have. So this for national education, for instance, is a big problem because you want all your schools to reopen, you want all your children, the cohorts by age, in terms of age, you want all those kids to be accessing education so that they can graduate. You don't have a gap. But we know that what COVID has done has really shown the differences that we have in our society, exacerbated that or highlighted that in a big way. But there have been, at the same time, innovative solutions that people, particularly NGOs, have come up with. And of course, corporate contributing in terms of social or corporate social responsibility, supporting programs like that. I am chairman of an organization called the Love Trust. You can Google it when you have time. This is the Love Trust. This is an organization that really focuses on the education for the poorest of the poor. So there's a threshold. If you earn X rands or dollars, we say you are rich, you cannot participate because this is a charity organization. And what the teachers, and I've been very impressed, what the educators have done in these poor communities is where there is no internet access, or the people cannot really afford. They've come up with workbooks. So the teachers every week would compile, let's talk about sustaining education for all.
Yeah.
Compile a workbook, have a driver go around the early childhood centers to deliver this so that the kids and their caregivers can then go through this workbook and then collect them again. So Monday they go out, Friday they collect. It's an innovative way to keep, because you are telling the caregiver as well as the parents to say, listen, this is what you need to, your child needs to be doing on a Monday, choose for the week.
Right.
And that, but for kids who can access stuff online, of course, they can access that online. The teachers are available online. So what COVID has done is really has shown the worst and the best in people, because certain people have gone out of their way to really try and help to sustain lives and to sustain growth, because education makes us grow, isn't it? So
yeah, oh yeah.
Access. Yeah.
I think I want to echo what you said too earlier about, innovation versus, how the kids are. The technology has taken us so far, in our society, that we forget. I mean, I have some good points in this one, that we forget some of the basics in life. I think it's good to know the basics now because of COVID. People are tending to reorienting their actions, their habits in daily life, to thinking like, this is it. Okay, now what do I need to do? They start getting back to the basics, the way of thinking and the way of their daily life, because those are the habits, right? That we don't go to traffic anymore. We don't commute anymore. We have to adjust and adapt to this environment, at our home.
Yes.
So
yes.
I think my 3 cents in that, what you were just saying, is that it's good in a way where the kids are really, educating them to read the book without the internet technology and all of this, because it gives them also room to think, to create. And I think if we can combine that with the technology, because right now kids are always looking like this. It's like so important, so important. Versus the kids that don't have that. Think about it. And then they go out there and then they really actually practicing sustainability, living in sustainability. And then the mind is not so much depending on technology. What is the next app available? I mean, it's good in a way. Both are good, and we can take the goodness out of each of this perspective. I'm suggesting right? I think that's what COVID has done with to many of us. The thinking ability is like, oh, okay, so we don't have to commute, and we don't have to spend so much money on expensive food during lunch breaks. Now we stay home, and then how much money have we saved? Think about that. The last 5 months for not spending on the gas. Sorry, Arco, British Petroleum. Sorry, we don't spend money on your gas pumps anymore like we used to. Yeah. No more hundreds of dollars every week, right? Especially here in LA. It's about how much, and then it's about $400 or $500 a month, and just on the fuel, maybe more. When we do travel on the weekends and stuff. But this is just some of the food for thoughts that I want to suggest and present in this kind of conversation, because I just want to echo that with you. Yeah. I think the education part of it, I'm huge in education. My father was a PhD, so the whole family is very, is very up there. So I'm rooting for the kids, for the next generation. I think we should teach the kids how to stay prepared as well. We're talking about disaster preparedness, how to stay prepared, financial preparedness also, financial literacy, have to be integrated, some kind of base information, base knowledge into our kids' next generation's education system.
Yeah, totally agreed. And I think one of the lessons from COVID is, for instance, I've seen a lot of people going back to planting their own vegetables. My wife and I have done the same. So again, that speaks to the sustainability that we are planting. That that we actually, the skills that we maybe our parents knew that we had lost touch because we're picking everything from the supermarket. If you have a plot of land or a piece, even in your yard, there's stuff that you can plant that's organic. It doesn't have all these chemicals. And this is what has happened. That a lot of people talk about that now. How do we sustain ourselves?
We've been talking about it for 2 decades. You know, conversations are a little bit different then. I want to go back to that thought, the organic planning. Hang on a minute. I want to show you another question before I forget. This is the last second question. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So within what you just said about organic planning, sustainability, I think that's one of the ways that we can expedite recovery, right? In planting your own vegetables and your fruits, basically. Because, I mean, let's face it, we do have food insecurity right now, right? As far as like financial insecurity around the world. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So as we think about the recovery, because let's face it, there has been a cost up to now. And I think given what we know today, I mean, we're only 6 months or so into the virus, and not all the economies, I mean, in South Africa today, they actually spoke about the economy has shrunk more than 50% over the last while, since the start of this pandemic. So, but we have to think, we can't give up hope. We can't now say, oh, we throw our hands up in the air, there's nothing we can do, we're victims of this situation. Because in the midst of all this, there's been some green shoots, there's been some marvelous ideas. I think our own bodies have recovered. You know, when you hear the levels of pollution that have gone down around the world, and because, you know, the smokestacks were like off for a while.
Yeah.
Organizations, therefore, we're not producing all this pollution.
No pollution for a while. But now we have wildfires. I open my bedroom window upstairs. Now we can, you know, inhale the toxics that we don't want that. It's fire season here, by the way. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But the essence to recovery, once again, is clarity of thought. So how are people feeling? Because if we're going to recover, we need healthy people, right? We need positive people.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that are going to help companies, communities, countries, the world to get out of this. We'll come up with innovative ideas to enable us to recover. But it's no longer about just what can I take, what can I get out of this. The question is, what can I do? What can I offer? So, but you have to take care of yourself first. So you talk about wellness. We have to be listening to what is here in our own bodies, so we can help others around us, help our communities to be sustained, to recover. So recovery is really, I mean, one thing we know, particularly our psychologists have been telling us about the levels of stress. So before we can talk about an economic recovery, let's make sure that communities can recover, people can recover, families can recover. What does that mean? It means healthy interaction.
Emotionally.
Emotionally. We need that.
Emotional connection. Right.
Yeah. I know this thing has put a lot of strain. I mean, sometimes myself, I feel the strain. But we need to take the time to reflect and say, how am I? How am I feeling? Am I on a path to recovery? You can't rush and say, let's get the company to recover, and meanwhile you are deteriorating inside yourself. So my whole thinking is that if we are going to have we need to be thinking clearly, clarity of thought.
Yeah.
Connection between ourselves as people. Then we are going to help our countries to recover. So sustainability, recovery is possible, but it's only possible if we have healthy nations that can cooperate, that can work together, collaborate, and then we're going to bring the world back, maybe even to a better state than where it was before. But we need to be clear in what we're thinking.
So you're saying that it requires ethical leadership as well, a strong leadership that can lead the way.
Definitely. And I think the phase we're in, I mean, you talk about leadership. I was actually reflecting on all the leadership books all the organizational design things that we have had from before. These things come from almost the Second World War. The thinking is when people came back out of the war, you had all these hierarchical structures. No, that's not going to work going forward.
Those are old stuff.
That's old stuff. The world has changed.
The world is changing. Environmentally, culturally, everything.
Everything has changed. So, for instance, this business of working from home, it has changed. If you don't trust your people, and you want to manage bums on seats, not to manage results, what people get, and to come alongside people and say, how can I help you? What do you need? This is what we need to do. What can I learn from you? Working from home is, if you're going to be a leader that's successful, you've got to trust the people that work for you. So if we're going to recover, we need a lot of trust in the world, because your country, the USA, must trust South Africa when we say we're on top of the virus. We must trust what we say. Of course, the data must also confirm that. So we must be a world that believes in knowledge, and we use that knowledge and we share that knowledge in abundance. We don't just say, well, I'm going to hold the knowledge. We share it abundantly, because then as a world, we're going to benefit. And I mean, sometimes it's sad, because to me, it's so silly. You develop all your people, you give them all the education, but you turn around and say, no, I don't believe these guys. I don't believe these people.
Right.
As a leader, you've got to trust your people. You've got to believe in your people. And you've got to understand that there's no one genius that's going to help us to recover. We need all hands on deck, and we need all ideas on deck. All ideas must be heard.
So we're talking about micromanaging versus the macro, basically, in that concept, in that perspective.
Yeah.
And I do believe, yes, I so totally agree. I mean, I was in this page about 20 years ago, because I grew up in the 80s, and I've seen the landscape of business, the hierarchy, and things like that. The ranking, it doesn't mean anything, this ranking, right? People have to work together, collaboration, and also in the public and private partnership as well. I'm talking about organizations working together. I'm just echoing what you were saying a while ago. That is so required right now. It required a coordinated efforts by everybody, not just, I'm going to select just this corporation, the top Fortune 500 companies work with the Fortune 500. No, you got to have to somehow face in and cross culture together. Just like how when you own a company or organization, you got to cross culture your employees. The same thing now. Everybody has to work together. Do you see what I'm trying to say on this one?
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm definitely with you, because, I mean, we talk about the gig economy, where you have a skill, you're going to offer me that skill maybe for a couple of days in a month, and you're going to offer it to someone else, because maybe you are the best resource. Why should we hold you? We should allow you to exercise your skill wherever you can exercise, wherever it is needed. When I need it, I use it, and you can go and use your skill. Someone else can. So we have to think ecosystems, right? Ecosystems, right. How do we live together in this and make sure that this ecosystem is sustained profitably for all concerned?
Right. I agree with you in that. I want to spend some time, perhaps in a separate session on just leadership alone with you. On a separate conversation, because I'm really intrigued in talking about leadership, and business landscape, as far as, because that's going to be a whole conversation, because I have a lot of questions in that. The business landscape, how it's changing, how it's been impacted by COVID, and how employees with the, remote work from home, and things like that will have to be adapted to this new norm things. And of course, the side effects on that and everything like that. But I want to put that in one conversation, one topic discussion on a separate for next time, because that's a whole lot of topic, and I do have a lot of questions. Like I said, I do have one more question. Let me see if I can pull it out here. Hang on a minute. Stand by. Some of great questions here, huh? So far. Yeah?
Definitely. Yeah. Great question.
Great questions here. Let me pull this out. Technology. I wish I have a second hand, right? Okay, here you go. Let me see if I can pull it out. Some of these questions, all right. These questions came mostly from the audiences and from the email that I received. So I want to address it to the right speaker on this question. What are the key lessons from this whole experiences? And I think that's pretty much trying to conclude this conversation today.
Yeah, this is such a good question, and it's as we have. I mean, when the first 30 days of this virus, I think a lot of us, when economies were closing, we thought, oh, maybe it's just a 30-day thing, right?
Right.
So we have all been learning through the process that. So the lesson number one is that we have not yet seen the big picture of this virus. If we just look at what has caused us to be, what has COVID done to us, we don't have the big picture. We don't know how this thing is going to end. We're now starting to see, I mean, you may have heard the stats that from around the world, in fact, that countries that thought they were on top of it, then you have a second wave almost starting, and they have to quickly shut down the economy. New Zealand did the same thing, shut down the economy, check how can we get on top of this again, and enforce measures, encourage people to say, listen, you've got to be doing this. So we are learning. I don't think there's any person in the world, there's any leader of a country or a corporation who can say, I've got this. Don't worry, I've got this. We are learning in the process. So the first lesson is that be open to learn. Don't think you know it all. There is no person who has the solution here. We need, so that's the one thing. We don't have a big picture. Secondly, answers to this are going to come from unexpected areas. So whereas there could be parts of the world that we have prior to now regarded as, who are those people? I was intrigued with a meeting on Friday with an online meeting with a chap in Mauritius. And Mauritius has had no elections, they've had no deaths, and we're talking about what is it that you guys did?
It's a blue zone, isn't it? Are they a blue zone? Consider blue zone?
They're blue zone. So what did they do? It's reaction. So one of the things that I think we are learning here is quick action. Of course, you have to scan, get all the facts, but you must act. You must decide. You must act.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yes. So that's another lesson.
I totally agree.
Sometimes you don't have to sit and have all the answers. That's all your T's and your I's crossed. No, dotted I's. No. Sometimes you've got to act on your gut and say, what's the right thing to do here?
There is a quote by Eisenhower that says, plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. It's like, we're prepared all the time, and then training all the time. But when really SHTF, when doo-doo hits a fan, everything goes out of the window. And then we forgot these things, but we just got to have immediate reaction, whatever it takes to do it. But I think you're right in that. I want to also piggyback on about Mauritius Island, right? They are. The Australia, also Fiji Island, were COVID-free for, I don't know, like 100 days maybe, but then they had it after they announced it. So, But they say the same thing. They did it immediately. They were taking action almost like instantly. Everybody collectively,
Yeah. The second or the third lesson, being truthful, right? Honesty. We spoke about being ethical leaders before, but we'll come back to that as well. But being really truthful, not hiding the truth. People give us as leaders or as people, or we give each other. If you are honest with me, you communicate and say, this is the situation, and people will give you that, will trust you. So I think one of the lessons here is that you can't rule by fear. So you can't say, you're going to do this. People are rational. They want to understand. And as long as you are truthful to them, not ducking and diving,
right?
That's another lesson. A lesson that I personally have seen here, and I'm asking myself, how come these countries actually manage this? But if you look, there are countries that are led by women. And I think there's a lesson that we can, as a world, that we can learn there. And these countries have really managed to control, not necessarily to eliminate it. They haven't done that. No one has eliminated the virus. But if you look at those 6, 7 countries that are led by women, and you look at how they've performed during this pandemic, you've got to ask yourself the question. You've got to say, what can we learn from these ladies?
Yeah.
And to me, it's about really understanding that talent can come from everywhere. Don't have this stereotypical thinking that only this group of people can give us solutions, because there is a lesson from how these ladies have led their countries, and there's a lot to be learned there. And if I just come to I spoke about our organization, the HR professionals. The HR profession is now dominated by a lot of ladies, and they are doing a fantastic job. The caring that they bring to organizations, the preparedness. So when we talk about our HR really taking a leadership role, is because they've brought that great side of connecting with yourself, reflecting, talking about issues.
It's the nurturing, the caring.
The nurturing, yes.
The nurturing, the caring is natural.
Yes.
Yeah, I do agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there is a lesson there. So I was saying, if we look at lessons, those are some of the lessons that we're picking up from there. The other lesson for me is that generosity.
Yeah.
Where I know that the virus has brought the worst in us and the best in us. People have been really generous, but some people have been mean in the process, right? We can't run away from that. But I think the majority of the world has really been generous, giving, and that is helping us to recover as a world and as a people. I mean, I can talk about professional organizations. So we have an organization for accountants, for risk management professionals, and so forth. And those organizations, one of the things that we realize is that because of food insecurity in our world, in South Africa, those organizations that we have organizations. I know in the States you also have food banks. How have food banks operated? Is because people have been generous. So the best in corporates and in people volunteering their time. And I think it's one lesson that we can take out of these horrible situations called COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We do have a huge food bank here in LA as well. In LA, especially in this region. Yeah, I think you spot on to a couple of good points there. Like I said, I mean, I really would like to talk about leadership and, because that's a whole topic in education with you. Really would like to expand that in that area, in that topic of discussion. But before I forget, I saw that you have an event coming up. Is it this month or November? It's this year.
It's in November. It's in November, yes. It's a virtual event, November 11, and it finishes on the 13th of November.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? And then we'll promote it through this, obviously, this platform.
Thank you, Nikki. So I told you that we are celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. And last year, we chose a topic our theme actually is Digital Next. And in a way it was prophetic because we didn't know we would be here. But so our speakers will be talking about, so we now here, we have been talking about fourth industrial revolution, gig economy, AI, and we have been, a friend joked and said, if I were to ask you who pushed you to to online? Who drove your digital strategy? Was it your CEO? Was it your CIO, your chief, or was it COVID?
Well, most of COVID.
It was COVID.
COVID is
so
famous.
Our theme, so our theme is, okay.
I think we're running out of time. Like I said, I mean, I really would like to invite you back, and then we're going to have a different, totally separate segment, totally dedicated for talking, discussing about leadership, what leadership means during this kind of crisis, and how do we lead, what are the things that we can, learn from these things, and education as well, and the business landscape. What can we learn? What are some of the strategies or some of the things that we can adapt to the new norm? What do you think about that? Would you like to?
That would be great. That would be excellent. That would be and I mean, just as you talk about that, to promote it. I mean, one of the things is leadership doesn't just reside at the top. Leadership has to be everywhere in the strata of our society, our organization. So it's going to be a fantastic talk that we're going to have there.
Oh, I think so. I think what you're doing also is incredible for the people to, through the conference. I'm going to check it out. I know I saw it on your website, and I was just going to ask you what it's all about. And I think, and now, is there a deadline to register for this event? It's November 11th, so is there a deadline pretty soon?
Yeah, so we would like people to have registered by the end of October. That would help us a lot if people register. Of course, the earlier the better.
Right. And you know what's so good about this whole thing too, but now people are, glued into technology. Zoom, I don't know if you heard about this, but Zoom was making, I don't know, 9 million or something like that. I don't know, don't quote me on these numbers, but now they're like $1 billion company. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yes. I mean, within just, within just 16 months in the last year. I mean, in the last few months. Imagine that. So I'm not surprised if there's going to be somebody else going to compete or a new competition very shortly here that we're going to be seeing. It's like, I don't know, Zoom. But all right. How do people find you, and how do we connect with you besides the IPM? Is that the only way that people can find you? Is there anything you want to share with us? How to find you?
They can find me on my LinkedIn page. I have a LinkedIn page. I don't have the address now, but if you just go, Google Jery Gule, you'll find me there.
It's on your bio. It's on your profile already.
Yes, my profile is there. And I mean, I don't mind getting emails from people, so they can email me at jgule@ipm.co.za or .za, as you say.
Yeah, all right. There you go. I love that. All right. So, question to consider, obviously, such as, will our next generation stay prepared? I mean, we kind of like touched base a little bit earlier, right, in this. How are they going to find, or will they find better ways to overcome these challenges, future challenges? And these are some of the questions, And then also, of course, most importantly, the need for ethical leadership. That's almost like a must, right? We cannot achieve environmental and planetary sustainability without achieving our own personal sustainability. As you said, I'm echoing that. So we are the role models to our next generation. Education is so important. All right. Thank you so much for your time and insights this morning.
Thanks, Nikki.
Until then.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
thank you for having me. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. You're welcome. Quite welcome. You're quite welcome. It's been really a really insightful conversation discussion, especially for your region, and we'd like to know what's going out there from firsthand, obviously. All right. So sustainability is no longer about doing less harm. It's about doing more good, and that's a great quote. And I cannot pronounce his name. I think it's Joseph Zaitz. But again, the quote is, sustainability is no longer about doing less harm. It's all about doing more good. All right, until next time, I really appreciate our great speaker all the way from South Africa, and would like to invite him back again. And we're going to talk more and more about this sustainability in that area. We'd like to see you back again. All right. Thank you so very much, as always.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye now. This is Nicky Dare. All right. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Bye-bye now.